and welcome to Taste of the Main Line with Alice Dagit. Hi, I'm Alice. This is a monthly show that shines a spotlight on the top area restaurants that every March lend their considerable talent and superb cuisine to the annual Taste of the Main Line event. Only the area's very best restaurants are invited to participate in Taste of the Main Line, which benefits the Emergency Aid of Pennsylvania Foundation. The Emergency Aid is an outstanding volunteer organization headquartered right here in Wayne, which greatly improves the lives of local women, children, and families through its extremely effective scholarships, mentoring, and grants. The fine restaurants that host Taste of the Main Line in March are the area's very most respected. So today I am enormously pleased to have with me the chef, co-founder, and co-owner of Nectar, Patrick Feury, and also of the Common in University City near Penn and Drexel. Nectar is the award-winning and groundbreaking restaurant in Berwyn that features the Asian-inspired, French-infused signature cuisine of star chef Patrick Feury. We're lucky enough to have Patrick with us today, so let's welcome Chef Patrick Feury to the show. Welcome, Patrick.
Oh, thank you very much.
We are so happy to have you here today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, pretty excited about Taste of the Main Line and just being here. I appreciate it.
Well, we certainly are glad you're excited about Taste of the Main Line, as all the chefs are. It's something that they love doing. And the Main Line loves Nectar.
Oh, well, that's flattering.
Oh, it's more, it's not just flattering, it's just a matter of fact. The Nectar is just an outstanding restaurant and has been since its opening.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell me a little bit, tell me about yourself, and then we can talk about Nectar.
From a pretty young age, I was always influenced by food, especially, from my mom and my dad, and, they were always involved in agriculture, and, at a very young age, I was involved with the 4-H, and, things
Where'd you grow
up? Middletown, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we always had, 3 to 5 sheep at all times, and chickens and things like that. So that was one thing that I felt was, for me, it was normal, and it really, I was always kind of fascinated with agriculture and farms and all those different things, and that was, had a lot to do with my parents, and my dad was a school teacher, and so he was a great influence, and my mom was too, and we always had home cooked meals, and so that was something that was really, prominent in my lifestyle and in growing up. And then, I kind of, as I grew up, I always liked art, actually. I could draw really well, and art and things like that. So that was something that was always important to me. But at the age of 13, I started in a butcher shop. Actually, it's an Italian butcher shop. And that was something where, when I went in there, it's I realized food is art, and it was a very, very unique experience that way. We made our own, did all our own butchering, all our products, and, we also had, there was a catering program, things like that. So at a really young age, I kind of really, really, it took to me. And
you found your passion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I was going to school for design and communication design, things like that. And but then I was always drawn to something to do with restaurants and things like that, and having that experience. And there was a wonderful French restaurant in Rumson, New Jersey, which is the next town over, called the Fromagerie. And the first time I went there, I'm like, why do we have 6 people at one table, and everybody had their own little job, and it really, really was intriguing. And from there on, I kind of just started loving the experience and the entertainment of going out to have dinner. And then I kind of I was always fascinated with New York, because I would climb the tallest tree in my yard, and I could see the skyline of Manhattan because I could see over. Yeah, so I was always intrigued with that. So I did get my opportunity when I was, as soon as I graduated high school and got out and moved to Manhattan, and then I just got, my first job was at the Waldorf Astoria, and so
could be worse than that.
Right? Yeah. And well, it's funny because at the butcher shop we had a catering company, and we always had the Waldorf Astoria cookbook, and then one of the owners always went up to New York and would tell me stories about Le Cirque and things like that.
Yeah.
So my first choice was the Waldorf Astoria and getting that hotel experience, and through that, I got my creative outlet through there. I went into the ice carving program, apprenticed there for that, and then eventually took it over, and then ended up doing all of the ice there for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And other places in Manhattan, which actually gave me an opportunity to kind of network with other restaurants.
That's true.
Daniel Ballou, the chef at Le Cirque at the time, was doing a cookbook, and he's like, he approached me because I started getting a reputation as an ice sculptor in New York, and he's like, how do you, how much is, if you do it for my book, how much will that, cost me? And I said, well, I'll do it for free if I can work at Le Cirque for free. That was my in. That was my in there.
Sounded good to both of you.
yeah. And that's one of those, things where when people get into culinary industry, and sometimes you have to do things like that. You just have to get in with the
That's
best
true.
and look at the horizon and see who's the best. And from there, so then a really wonderful chef I started working with is Chris Larson, who started Aquavit in New York City. It's a Scandinavian restaurant. And I was always fascinated with like gravlax and herring and different types of fish. So I ended up working for him for 2 years at a restaurant called the Christers. And he was a wonderful, wonderful chef, and I learned so much from him. And then from there, when I was at the Waldorf, going back in time, I worked at the Peacock Alley, which was Laurent Manrique, who was from Gascogne, France. And so he opened a restaurant. I went to work with him, but then I made a deal that, that I would work for him for 2 years, and he'd get me a job in Paris. So I did. So I moved to France.
You're pretty smart.
Yeah, it's all about networking, no matter what you do. And so I worked for Fleur McKenna in Paris, and Alice Dagit, and it was a Provence-style restaurant. And just being in Paris and just seeing the food and living there, it was amazing. And then I came back, and I was like, interviewing, and then so I went back to Le Cirque, which was Le Cirque 2000 at the time, and Sota Kun hired me as a sous chef there. So then I was a manager in one of the most famous restaurants in the world, which was like
It's good on your resume.
Yeah, which and so that was it was a really wonderful thing, and the Manchurian family is amazing, and it was just from there that's when like my life changed, and from that I came down to Philadelphia. Actually, my brother was Terrence. Was the chef at Striped Bass.
Yes.
And Neil Stein approached me about doing Avenue B, so I opened that for him.
Okay.
And then, but that being said, when I was there, Susanna Fu called me and said, she loved the food I was doing and things like that. So I ended up, going to her restaurant, being the chef there, and which was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful, wonderful cook and woman and smart, and And then from there, I went to her and I. Went to the Brigada, opened up Suilan in the Brigada, and that was a blast. It was fun, And that's kind of where the story for Nectar starts. And so Michael Way actually purchased the property at where Nectar is, and he's really, he's the founder, because he's the one who did it, And so he approached me about doing Nectar in the beginning. And I have to give him all the credit in the world, because Nectar wouldn't be Nectar without him. So that's kind of the story of that. And my 3 years with Susanna Fu really gave me that Asian influence, and basically all my other cooking was basically French. So that was the foundation.
Okay.
And then from there, the Asian influence was kind of like. It just kind of came together, that way.
Well, I know that that's something that you've fallen in love with too. I'm thrilled to hear how much time you spent with the French and in France too, and in New York with the French.
Yeah.
But I know that that you have really fallen in love with the Asian. Maybe having to do with how pure the ingredients are.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I look at it as fun, because you're always used to certain ingredients and the Western ingredients and things like that. But it's really, they really do kind of relate with each other. It's like if you have Chinese broccoli, it's kind of like broccoli rabe and things like that, and the sense of bitterness and different things with it. And so it's actually opens your eyes to all the ingredients in the world. And that's the fun part. It's just doing something different with that. And I like to cook all kinds of food. I like pastas in Italian, and I like French, and I like everything. So it's really always that fun part of it. But it's just fun to dive into something that you haven't done before and all that, and it really kind of opens your mind in that. So that's something where Nectar's fun, because a lot of people call it fusion, but I kind of call it eclectic because like there are dishes such as like the ribeye and things like that. So there is very, very European and Western style dishes, and then the Asian dishes are kind of like whether it's the pad thai or like a wok beef or like that's very, very traditional Asian in the sense. So we try to kind of keep it. You're never going to reinvent the wheel. So you're always like, it's kind of like it's really easy. Like when you're thinking about, let's just say you have a Chardonnay or a Pinot Noir, you know it automatically goes with any food from Burgundy. So it's like that those coq au vin and escargot and things like that. They automatically go because you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
That's right. Because somebody's already figured it out very well.
Exactly. So I always like when I approach new foods and things like that, I always think of it that way. Because I think one time I had this, what was it? It was a roasted chicken dish, and I came up with it and I had it, and I'm like, wow, this is like the coolest thing ever, and it's like I made it from it's, and then I was going through about 2 years later through old gourmet magazines, and it's sitting there on the cover. I'm like, oh.
The light bulb.
That's where I got it from. So it's you never invent anything.
This is true.
Yeah, but I think the one thing about Nectar is that it's not done by one person. It's a whole team. Like Henry Chu and Kenny Hung and Michael Way really are the backbone of it, and and it gives me the opportunity to kind of get in there and do my thing. So it's not just it's definitely an amazing team effort, with that, and it's just something that's, I can't thank Michael Way more, for just having that opportunity. Him, he's super smart, great person, integrity across the board. So that's something that really, it's nice to have that, when you're
You've been lucky.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
we've been lucky to have you come back from New York and Paris to the main line.
Yeah, no, so that's fun. And then, the newest thing that we're doing now is the Common, which is like,
I was going to ask you.
And actually, we kind of like, the Common is like the short name for it, but the Common Bar and Grill, because it's really, it's the atmosphere is amazing. You definitely, if you walk in, it's like, kind of that Nectar kind of philosophy, things like that. And it's much more, I would say it's like American because it's got a Mediterranean flair, but it's also got like kind of an American flair across the board. Whether we do all the fresh pasta there, we do, everything's kind of made in-house. We have, an incredible burger, and that's something that I kind of studied and looked around and found things, and we got, the best of Philly for that, the burger. And it is really good.
It really is good.
Yeah, and I have pizza on the menu, and it's so it's like kind of a little bit of everything. And even though that we're in a college town, it's not like that's not the first thought, but it is really something for everybody.
Yeah,
that
we have to do that for that market.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's and that's been something that's been really fun, and and it's a great place, and and we, my love for beer, it's got 20 taps and things like that, and I've always been kind of like, I always wanted to kind of dig into anything I do and really, really kind of look at it and dissect it and things like that, and a wonderful friend, Bill Kovlaski, who's the co-founder and the owner of Victory, gave me the opportunity with me and my brother to go in and brew there, and we did the Fist of Fury there, and then same as Yards, I did Fighting Fury. So it's always.
Boy, are you diverse!
Well, it's everything that we do, and
it's everything you love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I still use the ice sculpting, in when I can get a chance and opportunity to do it. And
you always do an ice sculpture. I shouldn't say always because I don't want to force you to do it this year.
I'll do it.
But you always do an ice sculpture for Taste of the Main Line.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Makes your station stand out.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah. So yes, I knew you did that. But and now it makes perfect sense that your initial foray into the real world, the adult world, was art. That's where your first love was. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It is.
So let me say, we were so lucky last week to stop by your place, Nectar, and you gave us a little demonstration in the kitchen of both seafood and beef.
Right.
So maybe we can take a look now at what we saw there.
Sure. Hi, I'm Patrick Feury, chef and partner of Nectar Restaurant in Berwyn, Pennsylvania. We also have the Common on 36th and Market downtown as well. What I'm going to be showing you today, the first thing, is that we're going to show you striped bass with asparagus, mushrooms, and I got some mushrooms here from Kennett Square. Got oysters and shiitakes, and then we'll also do a truffle butter sauce. So first thing first is we got a striped bass. These striped bass are actually out from Maine right now. And we get these in from Tony McCarthy and Anthony Seafood. So we're going to take the striped bass, we're going to sear the skin. It's been one of our signature dishes from the very beginning. We have a nice carbon steel pans. We use pretty much carbon steel pans across the board for all of our fishes. And we have scallops. We have so for the hot food here, we have the one of the this is actually the original signature dish. Kenny Hung, the chef de cuisine here, is going to do a wok beef after this. So we'll see Kenny come in. So we got that going. All we're looking for is a crispy skin. We want it just to be opaque in the middle. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some prep for the mushrooms and asparagus. So, okay. And you know, with mushrooms and asparagus for this dish, we actually want to get a super hot pan, get a really nice sear on them. These oyster mushrooms are really pretty. And again, we roll with season here. When we can get the chanterelles and we can get morel mushrooms, things like that, closer to summer, we'll use those as well. Okay. So I have just cut up nicely that way. Okay. Here we're gonna start out with a really hot pan. It's very important here. So we got super hot oil, and you'll see it'll kind of sizzle when we get in there. So we got that sizzle there. We're gonna get these caramelized. This is rocking and rolling here. Yep. Really, you know, we want to get a sharp caramelization with these. Very fresh. I also have asparagus here as well. And I think one of the things, you know, really what about what makes Nectar fun and in the kitchen here is, for one, the passion that we have. Kenny, where is he? And Kenny's going to demonstrate the next dish up for us, but it's really about the passion and the fun that we have here in the kitchen itself. So we're going to take these little, mix those in there. Okay, this is just all right. That's good. No, that's all right. So we're just cooking these really quickly. Little salt and pepper on there. The bass is cooking pretty quickly. All right. Then roasting on the other side. Okay, so pretty vibrant. Another nice thing about this as well is like using some of the, we have pea tops, herbs, things like that. We're using really good local vendors, such as True Leaf. You know, all our cheeses are actually, you know, not that there's cheese on this, but all our cheeses are actually from Chester County, whether it be Yellow Springs Farm, Also Doe Run Farm, and also Birch Run Hill as well. All Chester County cheeses. Nice and fresh. So this is a Bear Blanc, but we actually finish it out with black truffles. So right now we're using the winter truffles. And it's also, we have mushrooms in here, caramelized as well. Gives it that nice, earthy, good flavor. These are some pea tops from True Leaf. It's up out of Pottstown. There's a story behind every ingredient here. Take this. Nice crispy skin. These are really nice. These sweet pea tops have a really nice juicy sweet flavor. And here's our striped bass nectar. Next up is Kenny. Kenny Hong, he's our chef de cuisine here. Awesome dude. Working hard all the time. What we have is we have Chinese broccoli, we have tenderloin of beef, so that's like what you would use for filet mignon. So we have 9 ounces of filet mignon, also jalapenos as well in this. And what really makes this dish really, really special is the bite and the spice to it as well. So you kind of got a little bit of like that, the greens, the spiciness, and also the beautiful tenderloin. You use Pineland Farms here, that's out of Portland, Maine. There are no antibiotics, no hormones, all natural beef, and so what you're getting is a super high quality of beef, and that's something that's really, really essential at Nectar, is the quality of the products. Yep, so we got the beef going in. It's actually in the wok itself, so we're going to get a sear on it, on the beef itself first. So that's the first essential thing to do, to lock in those juices. So it's getting that, and basically that's all. You know, it's just getting a real nice sear. It's kind of like, you know, just getting that super, super clean sear on it. From there, letting that cook through, and then the second wok, Kenny's going to work on the vegetables for it, and then combine the two. And again, this one is another signature dish that we have here, so it's the one thing nice about it is that staying and using the vendors that we have is consistency. It's about using the same product from the same vendors. He's putting in garlic and also Thai chilies, and he's cooking them. So they got Thai chilies. Also, you have the jalapenos and the broccoli rabe together. Okay. And he's got our soy in there also, and there's a couple of ingredients in there that's top secret. So beautiful, beautiful dish. It's one of the favorites as well at Nectar. Another one that we're not doing right now, but is our pad thai as well, our shrimp pad thai. So very, very fast. Beautiful greens. Kenny's cooking it perfectly. You know, he's absolutely the best I've ever worked with as far as Asian cuisine and working with the wok food. And we have a little bit of chili oil around as well with the Thai chilies. And then Kenny can present it to the camera. Beautiful. There you go. Yeah, beautiful.
That was beautiful. That was wonderful. Thank you for giving us all of that.
It was great, yeah.
Insider info.
Right. Like, and you know, I'm really glad that we that Kenny got a chance, because he's really, without him, you know, you need that. You know, it's just he's incredible.
Oh, that's so important in the restaurant industry, the continuity.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
as you say, the consistency.
Yeah,
You say the consistency.
It's a lot of work, and there's no one person that can do it by themselves.
That's true. Well, we loved watching that. The bass and the beef.
The wok beef, yeah.
The wok beef,
Yeah.
and that reminds me of your fabulous sushi.
Right.
Tell us about your sushi.
Well, the sushi is something that's something that I never really dabbled in before, but then I kind of like when we had it, so we had to we're doing it, and and again it's the same thing, like seeing a new cuisine and or the ingredients that you use in sushi that I haven't worked with before. So I kind of did the same approach, and things like what do people like? Lobster and fillet, or things like that. So I have the King Kong roll, and so that's actually just lobster and fillet. It's like and it's like just something fun. So it's like but all the other things, the fish,
and exquisite too visually.
It's pretty fun, yeah. And it really comes down to sushi is really what makes sushi great. Is it's about the ingredients.
That's right.
All of that, and so that's
which I know is really important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something great, because like I have a fishmonger, Tony McCarthy, who's down at Barnegat, in New Jersey, and gets all the long line fish and tuna and everything from there, and then getting the scallops from there as well, because it's amazing scallops. And then that being said, like the squid from Cape May, and then the striped bass is actually off from either Long Island all the way up to Maine, and because New Jersey doesn't have commercial fishing for striped bass, or actually Maine doesn't either.
You said something. I don't want to change this. I don't want to get you off track of what you're going to say, but you said something that mattered a whole lot to me, because I care deeply about scallops,
Oh, yeah.
and I know that, but just like beef or anything else,
Sure.
What you start with
Right.
is what you finish with. You really need to have a really fine product to begin with.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you get back to
yeah, that's fun, and also like with different ingredients, like whether it's the cheeses, and I only use Chester County cheeses, and it's something like we're just supporting the local dairies, and that's something that when they first came around, it was maybe about 9 years ago, they started coming up Bertrand Hill, Yellow Springs Farm, Doe Run, those type of they're just wonderful people, and it's really about a partnership, with everybody. And so when I first did it, it's like anything else, like I said, like to dig into like every single thing. So I went to the University of Vermont for the BIAC program, which is a farmstead cheese making and things like that, just to learn. And Vermont really has some of the best education there, and they're just been doing cheese for a long time, and also but Chester County is world class.
That's good to know.
Really
That's
fun.
very good to know.
Yeah.
So, sourcing is so important to you.
Yeah.
And to all of us.
Right.
And so is Taste of the Main Line.
Right, there you go. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Taste of the Main Line is the very best restaurants putting on their very, very best food for hundreds of people at the Radnor Financial Center every March, and this year it's March 12th. And the rest of the chefs in the restaurants seem to just love doing it. Why do you do it?
I think it's the community. It's that I think that's one big thing, and again, like you say, partnership with ingredients, things like that.
Yeah.
It's also a partnership with the community.
That's true.
So really, having the opportunity to kind of talk to everybody and be there, and it's a great cause, and all of that. That's what it really comes down to, is like having a partnership with the community, having and getting actually to like talk. I don't get a lot of opportunity to get out.
That's true. The guests get to talk with you behind your station.
Sure. Yeah.
And it benefits the Emergency Aid of Pennsylvania, which does two things. It gives out mentored scholarships, and it gives out grants.
Right. Yeah, so I think, and that's something dear to me, in the one thing that connects with me is my dad. He was in Korea, and he has, he had 2 Purple Hearts, and he got really involved in the Purple Heart Association, which is kind of a lineage of, what you're talking about, and that's what
you're a good man. You're a good man, and we have been so pleased to have you. Thank you so much. Now, join us each month as we take a look at what goes on behind the scenes at these fantastic restaurants, and we get to know their creative chefs and owners, like Patrick. Next month, we will visit with another of the Main Line's finest dining treasures. Please join us then, and also, please join us in person to enjoy their delicious specialties and taste the Main Line on Thursday, March 12th. For more information and to get tickets, go to tastethemainline.com. I hope we see you there. So until next time, bon appetit.